we're too diverse across the country. The country is diverse, our churches are diverse, the history of our denomination, different places, is too diverse. So I think the best way to, one of the great ways of informing future steps is actually to listen to people who are multiplying and learn. And so one of the little windows, I'm going to kind of circle back to that afterwards, but I want to take a moment just to hear a little bit about Einar's story, the story of the Spanish church in Canada specifically. What have we learned in the last 12 years about the Spanish church in Canada? Because it's a unique journey. Every culture, every wave of immigration to Canada affects the church. I'm personally affected by that because I was part of, my grandparents were part of the Mennonite church in the 1920s and 30s that came to Canada. And the church paid, essentially the Mennonite organization paid for my grandparents to come. And many of them spent the next 20 years paying back, the different organizations that helped them. For some reason, the Canadian government gave a lot of money to help those Mennonites get out of Russia. And so they had at that time, I think, a $300,000 loan. But the church in Canada was deeply affected by the Mennonites' arrival. It was deeply affected by the Ukrainian arrival. It was deeply affected by the Dutch arrival in the 1950s. And we saw the growth of the Reformed Church, especially in Ontario, I think more than the West, but in my area right here. And I think Regan, probably your area, is a lot of Dutch Reformed. Again, Dutch Reformed to whatever the new name is. So every wave of immigration has a unique journey. And I had the privilege of getting to know Einar when there was a large wave of immigration from Mexico, largely, and Colombia, again, about 12, 14 years ago. So I wanted to just take a minute and ask Einar a little bit about what did we learn? What has he experienced within that wave? So Einar, why don't you take a minute and introduce yourself, how long you've been in Canada, and just a little window into your family, a description of your family and your church.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Thank you for the kind introduction. I've been here in Canada for now 21 years. I came in 1999, and I was invited to pastor a Spanish church here in Toronto that was going through a very difficult situation. It was a very new church planted 3 years ago, was planted. So we came to help that church, and we've been there for now 21 years. And I came with my wife. He is a nurse, a registered nurse, and my two daughters were teenagers at that age. Now both are married with 4 beautiful grandchildren.
That's great. Great. How many Spanish churches, Alliance Spanish churches, did we have when you arrived here?
Yeah, in Ontario, that was the only one. Yeah, we used to have another church in Calgary and in Montreal, but here in Ontario, I think that was the only one. The Spanish church. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where again, a little bit about where the country in which you came from and the different makeup. What's unique about the Spanish churches of where people have come from to join the Spanish churches? What countries of origin?
Okay, Spanish people started to come to Canada like 50 years ago, and they came by waves, as the COVID-19, like waves. The first wave was from Ecuador. They were the first. After that, they came from Central America, El Salvador. But 15 years ago, it started to come a large group from Colombia and also from Mexico. So when I came, it was a big wave of Colombian people coming here due to difficult situations in Colombia because of the war the government with the guerrilla. So a lot of people came here looking for refugee, and most of our people attending to our church, and we used to serve, and still we are serving, are Colombians, also Mexican. Even we have people from, I think, 15 or more countries in Latin America. But the major people, the major attendants are Colombians and Mexicans.
It was unique. I remember as you pastored the church, one of the messages that I heard you often say, and I was witness to it a couple of times, is the importance of unity with all the diversity that is represented within those 15 countries. Because again, my own ignorance, one of the things that I had to learn was how different every Latin American or Central American country is from each other.
Yeah, it's completely different. Maybe the only thing that unites us is the language. But even in the language, when I preach in Spanish, I have to be very careful, because I can use a word and an expression in Spanish, right? Spanish that is correct and nice in Colombia, but for Mexicans, it sounds very bad, and it can offend the people because it's a really bad word. So it's completely different. Our gastronomy, our culture is completely different. So it's not easy to pastor a Hispanic church made of people from different countries in Latin America.
Yeah, that's a unique challenge that, again, that you made me aware of. It certainly is evident during the World Cup also.
Oh,
when the different countries get playing. When you, as you've watched those waves of immigration to Canada, what's the role of the Spanish church in Canada, and how might that be different than, say, the Chinese church in Canada or the other cultures? There's a unique, I think, a unique role for the Spanish church. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, as I share with you guys, most Spanish people come here because of some difficulties back home, and they come here looking for a better life in Canada. So hopefully, most of them find Jesus in this journey. And as they came looking for a new life, the Spanish church, provide for them that kind of new life, not just for the gospel that we preach and we teach and we disciple, but also because Spanish speaking people are very family oriented, and most of us have to leave our families back home and all our relationships, our career, our everything, and we can hear people feel empty. So church provide that kind of help, not just spiritual, but social and emotional, and provide sense for people. So the Spanish church, the people, especially people when just came to Canada, and they don't know how to speak English, and they don't know how to relate to the culture, they have embraced the church. The church is their family. But after a while, 5 or 6 years after that, when they have learned English and they feel safe and they feel comfortable in our culture, most of them, a large population, move out from the church to English-speaking churches. So they now feel that they feel accepted in the culture, in new culture, and also because normally they came to the big cities, Toronto, the city of Toronto, and they rent as a very small apartment or basement and stay there around the church. But after 5 or 6 years, when they are getting a better job, they move out to the suburbs, like me, because they can't afford to buy a house
Yeah.
or an apartment in downtown. And so they move out to the suburbs, city suburbs, and they found a church closer than the others, so they start attending to the church. Others because the kids are now teenagers and they have friends and they feel more comfortable in an English speaking setting. Some of them have forgotten to speak Spanish, so they feel better in a English church. So the whole family move out to the English church. So we feel sometimes that we are like a trampoline church, because we receive the people and we embrace them, we help them, and after that they move out. At the first, I felt very bad because of that, but the Lord uh, helped me to understand that that's also a, a good things to do here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thanks, Einar. I think that's very significant. And that's something we literally learned as we were working with the Spanish Church Network and working with leaders, is discovering that that is part of the journey of the Spanish Church in Canada is, again, is temporary, which is hard to lead because you're
Mhm.
saying goodbye. Like as soon as somebody gets established, again, picture that, as soon as somebody gets established, finds a job, they leave your church. Like as soon, so it's like as soon as you help them get settled into Canada, they're gone, and that's a hard, like that's a, again, that's front lines, and that's very unique. It's a unique place to be in, to be a place to receive people at their most vulnerable.
And the strange thing is that even those people move out from the church, they feel, that family feel that that's normal, that's okay. And when they need a pastor for blessing the new house or for counseling or for everything, they continue asking for our help. So I am tempted to ask them, why don't you look up your, don't you go to your white pastor and ask for counsel? But I refrain because I feel that that's part of the journey that God has brought me to do.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that's yeah, I mean, that's true. It's just, it's helpful to know that reality. Like it's just helpful to go like, that is the context in which we find ourselves in. What does that mean for a Spanish church? So say like Nick is in Calgary and Edmonton, and a Spanish pastor steps in and says, I would like to start a Spanish church, or Spanish new venture, and start something new. What are some things that we've learned that would say, before you start, here's some things you need to think about or needs to be part of those churches at the very beginning?
Yeah, we need leadership, Hispanic leadership. A man or woman have been called to do this new venture, to start this new church, because starting a new church, every one of us know that it's not easy. So we need a committed leader, and we also need that the English speaking church understand that as a culture. And also it's important for the English church that they understand that they are helping us to reach out our people, but also we are helping the English church, because our kids and our youth will be part, not the Spanish church forever. They will be part of the English church. And also, when our people go to the marketplace, they make friends, and most of their friends are English-speaking friends. So where they invited, not our Hispanic church, they invited to the English church.
Yeah.
So this is like a win and win situation for Hispanic English speaking churches.
No, that's a good word. The idea of an independent Spanish church is not a healthy church, because of its relation. It is tied to the English, and it's also tied to other Spanish speaking churches in the, like your leadership and other for camaraderie and learning.
Yeah.
So that's good. And now, I mean, it's good. One thing, just as we say, thanks to Eynar, the other thing that you may not catch from Eynar is I'm thankful, Eynar, that you operate in your second language very well. For one, you know,
Thank you.
I know
Thank you.
you're hesitant for these
Yeah,
things.
I am sweating.
and you may.
I told you that I never speak English because I work all the time with Spanish speaking,
Yeah.
so I don't feel comfortable speaking English.
Yeah.
And thank you for understanding me and for being patient with me.
And I'm going to say this again. I don't say this lightly. There's few leaders I respect more than the way Einar's led over these years.
Thank
Just
you.
his humility, his faithfulness, and where God landed him, his ability to adapt. And what you won't catch from Eynar is the accomplishments of that small church has done within the life of Canada. The school that they started, the training that they do, sacrificial, people giving of time, the leadership development, the way in which they will plant churches all the time if there's an opportunity and try things, and puts a lot of our Caucasian churches to shame. But he has just a humble leadership approach and just high competence. And so Eynar, you're very valued. And thank you for your leadership, and thanks for giving time. And I hope they get a little bit of window into that. And just again, we're very appreciative of the role that you've played in Canada, and I'm appreciative of the things that you've taught me over these years. So thank you so much.
No, thank you. And I have to acknowledge also not just the English-speaking churches that are helping us, but also Chinese churches, like the Scarborough Chinese Alliance Church, that even till now, they continue helping us to plan our new churches, and they not give us not just money, but they allow the personal resources, and they help us a lot. So I really thank you for those partner churches, English-speaking churches and Chinese churches that are helping us to do our job.
Thank you so much. Thanks again, Eynar, for joining us.
Okay, thank you.